what takes your time and space is something that's urgent but may not be important at this point of time because you haven't addressed it in the right time, or you haven't perceived it to be important enough or not important enough that tasks are not prioritized. So the clarity in our minds, as to what is important that needs to be done now and what can be managed and can be moved, right? I think this is the biggest challenge that we have because we give a lot of our uh, time and self to, I would say, what we to others or others' importance. And if we haven't prioritized it ourselves and communicated it to, I would say, the universe or to others, uh, our mind always plays a trick saying that we have to. I mean, it's something which I think probably, especially for women, it's been ingrained in us saying that khud ko last kar dena, everybody else's requirements have to be taken care first. Like if you look at it from generations, last priority.
Absolutely correct, Anjana. When I'm going through the same thing, and I was discussing the same thing with Ashish before you joined.
And this change takes a lot of time. I mean, I can tell you personally, like, though consciously I've said I am priority, right? Uh, yes, you will give some time to others. You will do what is your responsibility, but I need to take care of myself. But that's still sometimes if you're not very firm, strong, clear about it, and you don't tell yourself first before you tell other people that this is what it is. Uh, we always slip back into default. It's very easy to slip back into default.
I completely agree, Anjana, because that's so hardwired into us. The default is
Yeah.
so hardwired, right?
Yeah.
I hear you, Anjana, and I respect what you are saying. But just for a perspective,
Hmm.
I'll share two things with you. And this is maybe we can pick this up offline also, or
Sure.
if Rosina is interested, maybe we can do it. Stay 10 minutes after our session, where with Anjana and you, with Rosina and you. And that is what Brigadier Vidur always says, the Chetwood credo of army. The country first, your people second, and I am the last. Okay. So that is a leadership credo by which the whole of army works. That is one way. And second is a philosophical point of view. If I am empty, can I serve other people? Right. So we will, I hear you, and let's have a discussion towards the end on how does this fit in with what you just said and what Rosina also resonates with. Is that fair, Anjana?
That's fair.
Yeah.
If there is nobody who is wanting to talk, I would just like to say one thing about that particular ecosystem, right? Country first, fair. I mean, in the sense that for the entire community of the armed forces, it's country first. Okay. The next thing comes as your teammates second. So when everybody is of the same mindset that I look out for the other person, okay, other than certain personal aspects of yours, there is somebody else who's also mindful of what you need to do and is supportive of what needs to get there.
Correct.
Agree, this is more on the professional front, right? But when you're doing it every day, it's sort of like I've seen how the armed forces interact with each other, right? It spills over even to after office hours. Like the bonds that they form, I mean, it's just not family. But I know, I mean, since I have a lot of people in the armed forces and been exposed to them, the bonds you formed when you've been just 2 years in class with them, right? I'm talking about the kids, because everybody is sort of on in a transferable job. but you still have good friends when you are from this school who are still looking out for you. You still have good friends from the school. And if you ask today's children or any of us who've spent 2 years in a school and moved to another school for 4 or 5 years, you hardly recollect the people that you met for those 2 years. The connect you build, you don't continue. Whereas in the armed forces, it's slightly different. It could be more because that's how the whole environment is, right? So that's the sort of ecosystem and hardwiring you have.
I agree, Anjana. That could be a culture thing, and because it's hardwired into them, it works for everybody. Then, what I would urge you to think is, can we do it in our family setting also? So that so each one of us, or in our company, in our workplace, where the same principle applies, so that everybody is looking out for each other rather than just for myself. Okay. So that may take some work to do, may not be an
Yeah,
immediate
that
answer.
will take work.
And also, can I serve others when I'm empty? That's a philosophical view. Do I need to fill myself first before so those are some of the things, and maybe this will get discussed during the session today or in the next 4 sessions, which we're going to do on the psychology of success. And hopefully it'll get addressed. And in case it does not, we'll of course schedule some time after the session. Is that fair, Anjana?
Yeah, that's perfectly clear. I mean, I was just recollecting certain things from last time to this time. And I had one more thing that, I think we have to believe in the affirmations or the belief that the universe will give back to you. We always think that because of certain things that happen in your ecosystem, right? Sometimes you stop believing that you will get it first, then other person will, somebody else will get it. You're always asking for somebody else. Like, and it's very ironic. Grew up in a convent school, and ask and it shall be given, and seek and you shall find, and knock and the doors will be opened. Is something that I've heard, read the Bible out at church throughout. Okay, but the actual meaning, I wouldn't say the meaning, but implementing it in your daily life. And how do you ask, seek and knock in the right manner? Unfortunately, was not told at that point of time. Like, I mean, it was like what, 8 years of doing this particular, knowing this phase, right? Every day, day in and out. Like, in the sense that you ask me, in my sleep I will rattle it off. But I'm guessing it's just the education system and the people's perspective at that point of time. And today the needs are very different, right? Like, when you look at it, the world is different.
Yeah. So,
I think
Anjana, there is no doubt to my mind that we receive what we ask for. Okay. The challenge, and that happens at the energy level. Okay. But the challenge happens at the belief level, where we have beliefs that what I have asked for will not come my way. And then it, kind of cuts that intention. And that is what we are going to explore in more detail in the coming session. But let me assure you that what you ask for gets delivered unless we are the ones who are putting spoke in the way.
no. The other thing is, Ashish, when we ask for something, we also have to work to get it, right. You
Of
can't say
course,
want this and sit quietly. That is the most important takeaway of that
of
particular
course.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Do more than you're already doing, otherwise it won't come.
Yeah, maybe, may not be, depends on what it is. But so all of this we are going to explore, and I'm happy that you're bringing this up because these are the things which create challenges in our getting what we want to get, and that is what we're going to address in the session. And please keep bringing this up because it will add value to everybody.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Anjana. Dhruv and Manoj, quickly, anything you would like to share from our earlier sessions or in terms of your expectation from the current the new that we have starting the psychology of success?
So
Thank you.
honestly, I have in terms of success, when I look back, a lot of things happened uh, by luck, probably by belief, which I never realized consciously. Uh, what I am, and when I saw this aspect, saying with this session on psychology of success, I was like, okay, I need to. This is a fantastic thing because I want to do certain things consciously, being aware. Why am I doing it that way? And so that I can tailor. And the reason, one of the things is what brought me success previously would not be the same thing, same approach, which would not take me to the next level. And when I look back at my history, I'm like, success for me previously was because I was very, very precise in what I did. And what I'm realizing now is, and maybe this is just my understanding currently, is success is showing confidence. Whether you have all the things lined up or not, you should still display confidence at this level or at the next level, and then automatically things would happen. That's the impression which I'm getting. Maybe
Interesting.
true, may not be true, but and I'm like, I'm hardwired to get all things lined up and then actually make a comment, or for that mind, for that perspective, saying open my mouth.
Yeah.
So it is. I'm feeling that it is stopping me from even marketing myself effectively.
Yeah.
So looking forward to this session on psychology of success.
Sure. Sure, Dhruv. So what I hear you say is that you want to believe that you're already successful and then let it play out versus the current hardwiring, which is I need to have everything lined up to believe I am successful. Am I hearing you right?
Um, yes, for current now, but the history hardwired is like I was always successful for some reasons which I don't really understand right now.
Okay. All right. So we will see this program that we have put together is very well researched. So I'm sure you're gonna find patterns which you were not consciously aware of, but you may have done it, which led to your success. And now, having realized what those patterns are, you can continue doing that consciously. Manoj, good morning. Anything you would like to share from our LSD session and expectations from this session?
Good morning, Ashish. Good
Hi,
morning, everyone.
morning.
Um, so, yeah, the last session on networking was very powerful, Ashish. So
Okay.
that reminded me of my previous job, which I got through my network, and I'm just trying to make it active now again. So, been quite almost 3 odd years now, and I'm looking for a change back to Hyderabad with my family. So that's not been working. So that the last session had really helped me to rethink on to activate those my network and explore the opportunities back in Hyderabad. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Sindhuja, Mavya, any quick takeaway? And Manoj, any expectation from the Psychology of Success series that we are starting today?
Yes, I'm quite curious to understand. While I would say that I have been successful in my own rights, but definitely understanding more would help me to be more successful in life.
All right.
So
Sindhuja,
I'm coming with no expectations so that I
all
can
right.
grasp as well.
Very nice, very nice. That's beginner's mind. Sindhuja, Mavya, Dr. Hardeep, quickly, any takeaways from LSD and expectations from the session today?
Uh, Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
The last session on networking, where the thought was to kind of, go with the objective of what you can contribute. I kind of, tried that with like in couple of conversations. I won't say it was networking event or anything like that. In couple of conversations and interaction, and that really kind of changes the perspective, or it kind of changes how you approach the entire conversation, instead of that feeling a drag, or feeling why it's like you have that mindset of how I can add value. I think that was a very great takeaway. And this, I'm just curious, like because success is something that has always been very. It has always been a goal to kind of achieve, but once you achieve it, I have always never felt very great after achieving something. You know, I would really work hard to achieve that, and once I achieve that, I'll be like, ठीक है हो गया. So yes, I'm curious of this topic more
All
than
right.
anything.
Yeah.
So in the past years, I've started to kind of focus more on efforts than success, and have always thought of success to be an outcome. So yes, I'm just curious on this topic.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Sindhuja. And I was listening to Tony Robbins, and he talks about the same thing. Once we succeed or once we meet a goal, the feeling stays for maybe 5 minutes, 5 days, or 5 weeks, and then we are over, and then we are focused on the next one. And then he went on to say that is what makes the journey so much more worthwhile. It's not the goal, but the journey. So that was very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. And I really appreciate your sharing about being a giver, being a contributor in the conversations. Thank you. Mavia, Dr. Hardeep, quickly, your takeaways from LSD and expectations from the session today.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
So, LSD was really good. A lot of new insights, a lot of things I learned. And here also, I am, attending with open mind. I'm here to learn, and I'm building my career again, as you know. So let's see what I get from here. No
Ah,
expectations as such.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Hardeep. Mavia, are you there? All right. So we will get started with this a very interesting topic, the psychology of success. And I would like to start by sharing my own story and how I kind of came up with this idea and this session. Some of you may have heard bits of this in different sessions, but for today's session, for some of you, it may be repetition. So I started my career in 1993 after finishing my MBA from Symbiosis, and I've had a very successful corporate career and academic career as well. I finished at the top of my class in finance, and corporate career also handled very large teams, 800 plus people directly or indirectly reporting to me, over $100 million business, zonal CEO role, P&L responsibilities, all of that happened. Foreign trips, recognition, rewards, bonuses, everything happened. But it happened with a lot of struggle, and it happened with a lot of stress. In 1994, I lost my father, and that left me, and I started in 93. So practically at the start of my career, I lost my father. And that left me as the only breadwinner in my family. My sister had not even completed her education, and we were homeless. I've spoken about all of that earlier. And uh, so I always had this fear that what if I lose my job? Then who will take care of the family? There is nobody else who's earning. And then while my father was alive, there was a tendency uh, for him to compare me with one of our cousins who is highly successful in the corporate career. So I had this thing also at the back of my mind that I need to do extremely well and So as a result of these two factors, job insecurity and wanting to do more and more, I kind of worked very, very hard. 7 days a week, late working hours, etc. And it had a toll. And while I succeeded, uh, there came a point of time in my life where I was like this rat on a wheel, who is running all the time, but staying at the same place. And I would pause here to see if you or anyone you know has felt the same way sometimes in your career. May not be a dominant theme for you, but at times in your career, or if you have seen somebody who's working hard, and irrespective of how hard they work, their financial situation or their career situation does not improve, or they're scared, they're fearful, or they're constantly comparing themselves with other people. So I'll just pause to see if you have any quick question or comment, or if you want to share in the chat that this resonates with you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Dhruv. Yeah.
Ashish,
Yes.
I can resonate with that, and I feel that uh, that happened with me during the start of my career, almost for the first 10 to 15 years, uh, working very, very late hours, and always wanted to prove myself that, okay, I'm doing great thing. And I've been part of that trap, running around, but not reaching anywhere.
Mhm.
So obviously, with certain conscious efforts, with the switch of jobs and things getting little high in the hierarchy,
Yeah.
now I'm able to balance little bit of time and me time. As I said, like I'm taking out time for my health reasons to playing cricket or badminton. So I'm in that stage now. But obviously, yes, I agree. That happened with me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you for sharing that, Manoj. It takes a lot of courage to come out and accept. Anybody else quickly would like to share if this resonates with you? Have you seen someone in a situation like this, or any part of it, even if not entirely? Does it resonate with you? Or any of your colleagues, somebody who is reporting to you, maybe in your team, who's working very hard but not moving ahead? Or any situation in your life. It could be a relationship where you're contributing everything that you have, but the other person just says, "अरे क्या है ये? This is nothing." तुमने अपनी जान निकाल दी, पूरा खून बहा दिया, दिल निकाल के रख दिया, but दूसरे बंदे को फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. So if you have been in this, any of this, whether career or personal financial situation, relationships, then the same thing applies. And the turning point for me came when I heard first time about the state of being from a friend of mine, my friend and a very good coach and trainer, Rohan Singhal. So this was October 2020 when I attended a session of Rohan's on power of intention. And he talked about state of being. And I remember distinctively, it's more than 5 years now, my thinking that, wow, what is this state of being? I have never heard of this term called state of being. And then I heard him, and then I realized why I felt the way I felt. Because the mindset with which I was operating was full of fear, anxiety, stress. And the way I understood it better is by relating it to a pot which has got mud. Earth जो मिट्टी होती है, अगर मिट्टी सूखी है और एसिडिक है, उसमें कुछ तो आप कितने भी बीज बोते जाओ, उसमें से पेड़ नहीं निकलेगा. एंड यू आर थिंकिंग दैट आई एम डूइंग, बीज इज लाइक एफर्ट्स. So if you're doing a lot of efforts, putting in a lot of seeds, but you're not putting the fertilizer, there is no sunlight, and it's not being made soft, then the seeds are not going to grow. But if the mud is soft, it's got fertilizer, it's got water, it's got sunlight, then when you put even one seed, it will sprout very well, it will grow very well. So that was the mindset which I was in, which was full of frustration, working hard, negative energy. And later I came across this uh, energy scale by Dr. David Hawkins, which is mentioned in his brilliant book, Power versus Force. And I would urge you, and anyone who is interested in exploring this further can pick this book up, Power versus Force, where he has calibrated the energy levels associated with our emotions. And I realized that I had this shame, guilt, guilt. Maybe I didn't take enough care of my father. My father had blood pressure. Maybe I should have been proactive and played a more active role in taking him for his health checkups, etc. Or grief. I couldn't even grieve his death properly because I just had to take on the responsibility. There was no time for me to grieve. The fear of job loss, anger, why me, and so on and so forth. So I was operating in this low energy scale, and Dr. David Hawkins says that anything below 200 will keep you trapped in that low energy scale. अगर आप 200 और 200 के नीचे वाले इमोशंस में कैलिब्रेट कर रहे हो तो आप वहीं पे फंसे रह जाओगे. And 200, which is the courage, is where the breakthrough happens. So and that happened for me, as I started on my journey, which I have spoken about earlier, starting with Louis and then gratitude and the state of being. I started accepting myself, healing myself, and breaking through with gratitude, breaking through, focusing on what is going right, and breaking through 200 level, and then it just keeps getting better and better. So that was the change in state of being. That, and this is not just me. This is very well researched, as I mentioned, and I'll keep sharing the research with you as we go along the session. And that research is what I'm going to talk about, the psychology of success, which has got 4 components. Our 4 sessions will be developing a success mindset, overcoming psychological barriers to success, building habits for sustained performance, and setting and achieving impactful goals. So this is the content, and the session will be uh, more like a workshop. So I hope you have your notebooks, mindful living notebooks ready with you. And we will start with a mindfulness practice so that we are grounded, we are focused. For next maybe 60 odd minutes that we have in the session, please don't be distracted, because this session is for you to reflect on. And every time there is some reflection that is required, I'll urge you or I'll guide you through a 1 minute to 5 minute mindfulness practice to ground you, and then we will get started with the exercise. So before I talk to you about what is success and how to develop a success mindset, I invite you for a brief mindfulness practice. So keep your phones switched off or on silent mode. Sit straight, eyes gently closed, neck and back in a straight line. Gentle smile on your face, chin parallel to the ground. And observe your breath, every breath that comes in and every breath that moves out. Incoming breath, outgoing breath. Incoming breath, outgoing breath. Observe every breath that is coming in and every breath that is moving out. Breathe in deeply. Exhale completely. As you breathe in deeply, let your stomach expand and let it contract as you exhale completely. Like a balloon, when you blow in air, it expands. And how it contracts when you let the air out. Similarly, when you breathe in, let your belly expand and let it contract. When you breathe out, take a couple of deep breaths, breathing in completely, stomach expanding, exhaling completely, stomach contracting. In a couple of seconds from now, we'll come to the end of this practice. Consider setting an intention that this practice of being mindful will help you and everybody you come in contact with. Thank you. And whenever you're comfortable, you will gently open your eyes and stay with the feeling for a couple of seconds more before we dive in to understand what is success. For those of you who have heard the Earl Nightingale audio that we shared, you would know that he defines success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. In case you are yet to hear the audio, please listen to it after our session. Not once, not twice, but for 30 consecutive days. First 3 times, listen to it consciously, make notes, and then you can listen to it while driving, going to sleep, or walking, whatever. And there is a very beautiful thing which Earl Nightingale says, that the goal is a goal that you have decided. Typically, we tend to define success in terms of car, wealth, house, and that too in comparison with my neighbors or my colleagues. we don't think in terms of what is success truly meaning to me. So define what are the goals that you have, and which is what we're going to do as a part of this exercise and as a part of the systematic learning program. Define our goals and then work towards them. And progressive achievement of those goals is what is success. And that is something brilliant because, sorry,
Do we just need to have one goal or many goals?
you can have multiple, Mavya, but for the purpose, yeah. So I would encourage you to write many, but focus on one.
Okay.
And the reason for that is once you master achievement of one goal, then you can replicate that understanding to many other goals. But if we have like 8 goals and we are putting all our energy on 8 goals when we are learning this process, then one may tend to falter. So have one. And towards the end of the session today, we will see why, what that one is and what do we call that. Okay. So the success is progressive realization of that. And why is progressive realization important? Because I think Anjana was saying, or someone was saying that, when we achieve it, the feeling just goes. So that there is a journey that is there for achievement of that goal. And secondly, there are many times we may falter. Okay. We may start, we may fall back. We may start, we may fall back. But as long as we are progressing on the path, we are making progress. And that is very important. That's where resilience comes in. Getting up and going after it again and again and again and again till we achieve the goal. And only we fail when we stop trying. As long as we are trying, we are success and we are making progress. That is what is worth it. So understand what is success, define success for yourself, listen to Earl Nightingale audio. And what are the key components of success is what we are going to look at. But before that, I want to ask you, do you have a classmate from your school, or do you have a colleague or a batchmate from MBA, or when you started out in your career, who is earning 10 times, 20 times of what you're earning today? If you have one, please type Y in the chat box. Or who is like wildly successful? Yeah. Yeah, right. We all have some stories. So my brother-in-law's classmate is the founder of Quicker, who's worth like thousands, hundreds of thousands of crores, stuff like that. It happened to me also, right? And there was a point of time I remember having a conversation with Ruchi. There was a colleague of mine in Marsh who used to sit just across me in the table, our workstations were just right across, and he was earning like 15, 20 times of what I was earning. And I was wondering whether I'm successful or failure. Those were the times I didn't have clarity that I have today. So I was, wondering on that. But the point is not why. What is it that makes the two people produce so different results? We have got the same education. We were in the same school, or we were in the same company. At some point of time, we were at the same level, right? In terms of career or school or education. But then some people take off. And what is that? And there are 3 components of what makes guys extremely successful. One is strategy. And I think someone was saying that it is the action. I think Anjana was saying that it is the action you take. It's not just having a strategy, but the action you need to take. So the execution. And the third and the most powerful one, which is the psychological mastery. And that is why Tony Robbins says that success is 80% psychology. For those of you who may not be familiar with Tony Robbins, comes from a broken family, and he didn't have food to eat on many days. He started out when one of his earlier jobs was working as a janitor. And today he's considered top 50, top 100 most influential thinkers in the world. Has 114 companies which have a turnover of $9 billion. So from a broken family where his mother had like 4 husbands, not having enough to eat, working as a janitor, to becoming the one of the most influential thinkers in the world today. That is Tony Robbins for you. And he says that success is 80% psychology. Okay. It is not our knowledge. It is not so much strategy or execution, but how we manage our mind is what is so important. And that is what we are going to be focusing. And that is my personal experience also, as I shared, that my transformation started happening when I started focusing on what is my mindset with which I'm operating. And this may resonate with you, or you may have seen your relatives or friends or colleagues. There are those who are working very, very hard, but still just stopping short of success. And one of the reason is, we can understand it by the 90 to 9 degree example. Water, you may keep on heating at 99 degrees, but for it to come to boil, it needs to get that 1 degree extra, needs to go to 100. So what is that one fear? What is that one limiting belief? In my case, I shared it was the loss of job. That was the fear I always had. So I was trying to overcompensate for it by working hard and doing this, that, changing jobs, traveling cities, etc., etc. And believe that, limiting belief that I am not from IIT, I'm not good enough. So what is that is holding us back? And we will explore that. So be honest to yourself. This is, if you want, you can share it with your accountability partner. If you want, you can share it here. But essentially, it is about you being honest with yourself and understanding what is holding you back. And this is a journey. Something may come up for you today. There is something which may come up for you tomorrow. Understanding it, identifying it, and then working on it is what the journey is going to be. What Tony Robbins says is, if we are here and where we want to go, there is a gap. And how do we get from where we are to where we want to go? The strategy, one simple, very powerful strategy is follow the person who is already there. It is in neuro-linguistic programming, it is called NLP. So you model the success behavior and you will become successful. That is the simplest strategy. If you think your boss is successful, super boss is successful, or somebody else in your family, your father or your somebody relative is there, you ape that person and you will become successful. For example, if I live in Pune and I want to go to Bombay, I'll just follow somebody who knows the way already. Or I'll share with you one example. When I landed up in Delhi, after my father passed away, we moved to Delhi, and I have not lived in Delhi, so I didn't know the roads in Delhi. And I had a scooter, and we used to live in Shalimar Bagh, and I had to go to Connaught Place where my office was, and there were no Google Maps, and there were not too many people we knew in Delhi. So how do I find out the way to go to Shalimar Bagh? So what I used to do was I would follow a bus number 166, which goes from Shalimar Bagh to Connaught Place. And I just followed that. So, if you follow somebody who knows the way, you will get there. Is this making sense for you? Are you with me? All right. Thank you, Anjana.
Yes, Ashish.
All right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
One key thing here is find that person who you want to copy, if I may use that term.
Find that person you want. Yeah, that's important. That's important. And sometimes people ask me, and that's a very valid question also. What if there are 10 things in a guy, I like 5 or 6, but I don't like the 4. So you don't vilify that person for the 4 negatives that he has got. You focus on the 6 that good he has got, and you replicate that behavior. So you may have 2-3 different people. इसका ये अच्छा लगता है, इसका ये अच्छा लगता है, इसका ये अच्छा लगता है, and then follow them for that. उसकी अगर एक खराब आदत है वो छोड़ दो, उस पर मत ध्यान दो आप. आपको जो उसकी अच्छी आदत है उसके ऊपर ध्यान दो और आप उसको फॉलो करो. ओके. So that is what we are going to talk about. And Tony Robbins says that success leaves clue. Go figure out, like Dhruv said, figure out who is the person you want to follow, model it. It could be one person for one trait, and you could have more than one. Improve it, learn, and they have the knowledge, right? So now what we are going to discuss is 5 steps to develop success mindset. I have a feeling that we may be behind time, but rather than rush through the steps, I rather have us spend time on each one, and maybe we'll let this session spill over to the next session. So the first one is recognize and own the gap. So the gap is where we are to where we want to go. Okay. And think in terms of LSD. It could be a financial goal you may have. And I'll let you pick up one for the purpose of our exercise today. Or it could be a learning goal. It could be a networking goal, whatever it is for you. Pick up one goal. Assess where you are and where you want to go. And recognize that this is the gap. That acknowledgement is important. कि भाई मेरे को 1 करोड़ करना है, मैं भी 10 लाख पे हूँ, 90 लाख का गैप है, चाहे वो रेवेन्यू में हो या किसी भी चीज में हो. I own this gap and I will close this gap. So one of my affirmations is I am the CEO of mindful living. If it is to be, it is up to me. मेरे को ही करना है. All the buck stops at me. In my life, the buck stops at me. I need to own this gap. I need to close this gap. So take one goal, and we will spend about 10 minutes on this exercise. Or if you're able to do it in 5, just sound us out and maybe we'll move on. Assess where you are, identify what is the gap, and address those gaps with strategic actions. Are you with me? And if you have any questions on this, please ask questions. Yes,
Ashish, see, if I take my 3 to 4 goals, I would honestly say that almost all ends up on the money. Okay, maybe one of the best education for my children, or my growth, having property, etc., etc. So just a curiosity, from where should I start?
Okay. Now, from what I hear you say is, if your money goal is done, then your education for children is done, your property is done, and so many other things are done, right? So
Yeah.
if you work on your money goal, it takes care of many other goals that you have, right?
Right.
So focus on money goal.
Okay, so being a person working in an organization, practically you have only one single source of income, and I'm feeling that that would not be very realistic. That okay, I want to have 10x in next 6 months, 1 year, or 2 year. So that's the reason that question is coming
That's a
up.
very good question, Manoj. And it need not be 10x, but can it be 1.2? What is it? 1.1, 1.3? Because one thing about goals, and we will discuss that in more details later, is the believability index, And if I have a goal, suppose I'm at 1 CR, I want to go to 2 CR, but I don't believe that goal, then it is as good as not having that goal, because I'll not be able to achieve it. So suppose I have, just for sake of numbers, 2 crores. How much do I believe I will achieve it? 50%. So it is as good as having 1 crore only. It is better to have 1.2 crores with 100% conviction, then the 1.2 crores will happen. So what is your own level of conviction with that goal? That is the one you should go for. Maybe a little bit of stretch over that, but that's the goal. So if you are at X and you think 1.2x is little bit of stretch, but I can go for it. I can kill it. I can nail it. I can put action plan. So normally maybe 10% would have happened, but I want to go for 20% or whatever, and that. And then there are so many other things that will happen. How do you use that incremental 10%? How do you use that incremental 20%? What do you make? How do you use, all of other things will happen. But from what I'm hearing, and then the strategy part will come in. For that 20% to happen, do you need to learn something more? Do you need to network? Do you need to, invest in education? All of that will happen. Is that making sense, Manoj?
Definitely, Ashish. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
One
Thank you.
Self-experience is, I used to tell my friend who manages who helps me in the financial aspects as a financial advisor. I said, I want 25 lakhs per annum to come through all the investments I'm doing. At least that amount should come. I told him for a few years, and both the way things were is it started coming that way. I don't know how it was it this triggered it, or just that the investments which were done ended up in that direction. But it does happen that repeating it, and so I said, if to get financial freedom at that time, I said 25 lakhs, which is like 2 lakh rupees per month expenses, I'll get to help me there, get me there. And I know I'm now already there. So my next goal is like, what should I have a bigger goal? Is it just the Lakshmi goal? That LSD session made me think like not just Lakshmi goal now. It's like Saraswati goal and the Durga goals should also be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully shared. So one thing, Dhruv, the intention is very powerful. So the Rohan's session, which I was doing, was actually power of intention. So intention is very powerful. And once the intention, and the intention is a creative force. And once the intention is set, then many other things start falling in place. And that intention may not be a function of my current reality. So when you said that intention, that I want to have this figure as my annual passive income, it didn't look like reality, but that intention over a period of time, along with the actions you took, made it happen. So intentions drive action and strategy and so many. So that is why it is very important to have that goal, even if we don't know how it's going to get achieved, because that represents your intention. So friend, your time starts now. Please identify one goal for yourself, where you are, where you would like to go, 1 year, 3, 5, 10 years, and what is the gap, and think through what is it that you're going to do. Even if you don't have 100% clarity, it is okay. To the extent you can think, put that plan in place. We have 8 more minutes to go. And if you have any questions like Manoj and Dhruv shared, please put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Manohar? Rosina? Yes, Dhruv.
In terms of goal, yeah, career wise, I want either a promotion or move to another company with a fabulous salary. Fabulous in the sense from whatever I'm earning. No, it is either this or that. I am fine with either. So if I'm saying 1 year goal, should I say just one area, or I say this or that? How should I put the goal or the intention?
So you said promotion or a new job. That's what,
Correct.
right? And your strategies would be very different for them, or they would?
Somewhat different, yes. Because if it's promotion, I have to pitch internally a lot of things. If it is job change, it would be a lot of things happening outside the organization, not that much in the organization.
And which one could lead to the other? If you get promoted, will it help you get a new job? Or if you get a new job, will it help you get promoted here?
Getting a new job may help getting promoted.
So maybe focus on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And later you could have both, for now, maybe just one, but for your own career planning, you could have both. Rosina, Sindhuja, Dr. Hardeep. Anjana, what's coming up for you?
It's actually, like I said, the gap is X, right? But the aspects that will bridge that gap, conversations that I've just heard now, have just thrown clarity, because there's certain things that are just focused in one direction. That direction may not really work for you to bridge the gap. And sometimes we don't look at an alternative, right? We just believe that this is the only thing that I have. And a lot of times it's not so much as believe that this is the only thing you have. You let a lot of other factors tie you down to that only option. And that's all in your psychology, right? And then when it's too late, when you realize that those factors really didn't matter to the people you thought it mattered.
Good. Good. This is what conscious living is about. I'm glad you're thinking like that.
And this right now came thank you to Dhruva. Otherwise, that one aspect I wouldn't even have thought alternatively.
Good. Yes, Rosina.
Realized that when I was writing it, and I just wrote that one of my goals is to take up a job. But then I realized that for so many years, since last 2012 was my last job in India, I don't know, I have developed a fear, or because it happened consecutively that I had to leave 3 jobs and I was told to leave. And that has been always an impact that there is no mistake, I have not done anything wrong, but why was I told? And certain times the reasons were that the finances were not matching my salary or something like that, or somebody had played a blame game on me. So I was like, no, I don't want to go back on job and let me start something on my own, which I did, like which I learned different modalities. But then I got into network marketing also, but I was not able to attract any clients also for myself. And if I attracted, my seniors used to take away those clients. So it was like, what am I, where am I, and how should I place myself? So that's when I was writing it down right now. This were the things came that this is the things you have created a barrier for your own self.
Yeah.
It's just your thoughts, nothing else. And might be you just need to work on those aspects so that you can start achieving. Plus, it's like not only just one thing, but you will be into 2 to 3 things where the money will start flowing in. That's what my takeaway at this point of time.
Great. Great. Really appreciate that. And let me just quickly go through the what was supposed to be the last slide, but please take a screenshot of this if you like, and use this for your accountability meetings. Okay. You have come up with some action points for yourself today. And this can be an evolving thing. As I always share, that version 1 is better than version none. So this may change, so you don't have to worry about changing it later. But whatever it is, so connect with your accountability partner either on Wednesday or Thursday and share what are the actions you're going to take. And don't worry about scoreboard and other things, and then update on those actions. But take a screenshot of this. If you've taken a screenshot of this, please type Y in the chat box. Or I'll post it in the group for everybody. All right. So this is the gap. You have recognized the gap and you've put together some action point. Mavia said whether one goal or many goals, I would urge you can have many goals, but focus on one goal. And that is the wildly important goal. Okay. We are going to talk about wildly important goal in more details later, but for the purpose of now, that one goal which will help you achieve, move all other things in your life. That is the one goal for which you should do all the exercises. So we agreed on the action steps, and now we move on to the next one, which is taking 100% responsibility for your results. But before I move on, a quick any takeaways anybody would like to share? Sindhuja, Manohar, or Dr. Hardeep, anything that came up from you from this exercise? One quick sharing, please. All right, then we'll move on. And the next one is taking 100% responsibility for your results. Now, see, these are this is a part of the modeling exercise, and these have been basis studies of hundreds and thousands of people who are highly successful. And this is one trait that sets aside those who are highly successful from those who are average or not so successful. That is taking 100% responsibility for your results. That this is my life and I own the results that are going to come in my life. And what happens usually is that we are focused on excuses. We are not so much focused on solutions. Like Anjana was saying, there is one track, one way of thinking, or the default way of thinking, and we are not focused on the multiple options that we can create for yourself by thinking consciously. And the reason we are so, we get trapped in that default mode of thinking or giving excuses or telling the stories are the three traps that we fall into, sometimes mostly unconsciously. Okay. And those three traps are, first is playing the blame game. Somebody else is to be blamed for the condition that I am in. For many years, in my case, it was my parents. As I've mentioned earlier, we came from a middle class background. My father was a public sector uh, employee, and I was studying in Nursing Monji College in Bombay, in Juhu, where the sons of all the film stars and so many industrialists would be there, and the cost of their shoes they would wear would be more than the money I used to get as my monthly stipend. So I used to think that my parents are responsible for the condition that I'm in. Or you may look at it in your workplace that this person is responsible, the products are not good, or the company is not good, or whatever. And a lot of this happens subconsciously. Or rationalize, that I am not so good because I am not from IIM, because I am not from IIT, or complain that this colleague did this, or like my daughters would complain, Didi did this, or this one did that, or that one did that. Okay. Now pause for a second and reflect on the stories that you may be telling yourself. How we are escaping from creating the results that we deserve, that we want, by doing one of these or all of these. Okay, take a screenshot if you like. And think for yourself. Is there somebody you're blaming? Is it your boss? Is it your colleague? Is it your company? Is it the economy? Or is it the prime minister? Or are you in some way rationalizing, there can be any story we could. Yes, Manjana.
Ashish, I have one more uh, aspect. Tell me where this fits in. It's inertia.
Inertia would be.
You're just not taking a step. You're not blaming somebody. I
And
don't know
what
if it is
you think
rationalized.
inertia may be a story that we are telling ourselves, no? There might be something behind that inertia.
So
Rationalize,
it comes into the rationalized
rationalize.
aspect.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So think what is stopping you?
Probably.
What is the story? And those stories are so beautifully narrated to ourselves. Because we want ourselves to look like a hero. Okay. तो मेरी तो गलती है नहीं, मैं तो ये assumption है हम सबका कि मेरी गलती है नहीं, मैं कुछ गलत नहीं कर सकता या सोच सकता, और मैं जो सोच रहा हूँ बिल्कुल ठीक है, ऐसा ही होता है. आई एम फ्रॉम ए स्मॉल टाउन, दैट इज अनदर वन. सो बिग टाउन कैसे होगा, बिग टाउन में कैसे सक्सीड. और think of whatever excuses you can think of, we come up with. So what is it? You have one goal where there is a gap. In context of that gap, what is the story you are telling yourself? Okay, be honest with, you don't need to share it with us unless you want to, which is okay. But what is it that's the story? Am I too old? Maybe लग रहा है यार मैं तो मेरी उम्र निकल गई, या फिर मैं बहुत यंग हूँ, इतने यंग एज में कोई कर नहीं पाता. Or it could be a gender thing. I am a female. So one of my coaching clients, no female has reached this position that she is aspiring for. कभी हुआ ही नहीं है ऐसे. Like Indra Nui might think कि कभी भी पेप्सी का CEO चेयरमैन कोई बंदी हुई ही नहीं है, तो मैं कैसे हो सकती हूँ? So what is the story we are telling ourselves? Like Rosina shared, she had some stories, some fears. So what are the stories that we are telling ourselves that may be holding you back from where you are? Take 3-4 minutes and see what may be holding you back. What are the traps that you are falling into? One of this is, I need money to make more money. Okay. Or I need to be in Bombay to be successful. Or I need to be in a metro to be successful. I'm not in a metro. And there are hundreds and thousands of people who are not in metro. And there will be an evidence for, anyway, for first you come up with what is holding you back. The 3 traps: blaming, rationalizing, complaining.
Blame could be self-blaming also.
Oh, yeah. And also, think how that may be keeping you trapped in the low energy state. Okay. So blame would lead to guilt or shame. And then it will keep you trapped in that low energy state. तो आपका breakthrough नहीं होगा. Two more minutes. Blame, rationalize, complain. I was coaching someone yesterday and I talked about building good relationships with your boss. And immediately her response was, मैं चमचागिरी नहीं कर सकती. And I'm not good at politics. And so मैंने वो बोला भी नहीं कि आप चमचागिरी करो. But this is how, this is a story we are telling ourselves. कि मैं relationship इसलिए नहीं बना सकती क्योंकि मैं चमची नहीं हूँ. That's a story. So ऐसे कौन सी स्टोरी आप अपने आप को सुना रहे हो जो आपको होल्ड बैक कर रही है? या मैं पॉलिटिक्स नहीं कर सकती? अरे, having good relationships with people or with your boss is not politics. But that's the story we tell ourselves. So what is the story you may be telling yourself? Okay, so keep reflecting on it. This recording anyway will be there with you. It will be shared in the group today or tomorrow. Anything has come up for someone? Quickly, if you're comfortable sharing, any one or two people would like to share something that came up for them. Yes, Dhruv?
Like both different things which came to my mind is
Okay.
I'm not in the country where the decision makers are.
Okay. Yeah.
That is one. I'm not marketing myself.
Okay. Okay.
Boss is not cooperative, supportive, is the point which you just made.
Yeah.
So these are the top three which comes, there are others also, but top three things which is holding me back.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Good. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Yes, Sanduja?
Yeah, like, I have always had this limiting feeling uh, that what I do is very subjective. Say, for example, if it is sales, you've got numbers. Look at आपने ये achieve कर लिया, ये हो गया. But the kind of work that I do is subjective, where the results are not very obvious, or even if there are results, it's not something that, like, somebody will come back and tell to you. Sometimes people will, and sometimes people won't. So there is always that thought that, like, in order for growth, uh, you need to have visible results.
Yeah.
And how do I kind of, tell myself that this has been a positive impact, this has been a positive impact, this has been a success, when there is no world which is, like, telling this. Like, say, for example, if you're running a marketing campaign, you know that, like, this is the cost that you have placed in, and the output that has. If it is sales, these many were the leads and these many were the conversion. But somewhere what I do is, like, assignment based, or something that has got more to do with where people have to take up things they might implement, they might not implement. And, who knows, maybe they might implement something 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. So that is, like, one thing where uh, I don't see the result, or I mean, the result is not presented out to me. So I kind of, I've always been in that thing. पता नहीं सही था कि नहीं था. Like, पता नहीं impact हुआ नहीं हुआ. I don't know if it will happen, would happen. So that is, like, one thing, like, where I don't tell myself the positive story. I
Thank you.
tell myself the conscious story कि
Yeah. Yeah.
कि, like, बहुत ज़्यादा सब चीजों को सक्सेस मान के आगे मत चलो.
And you use this for justifying that you haven't got the desired career growth.
I use this for like, justifying. Sometimes it has been positive for me, because I kind of, use this to think that there is more I need to learn. So that has been one of the motivators that has kind of, kept me to learn. But at the same time, that has been one thing that kind of, stops me from reaching out to, like, 15 different people to tell, hey, you know what, I'm fantastic at this. You can kind of, give this
Okay. 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 All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Sandeja. Anyone else? One quick last share before we move on, if you want to. All right. So these three traps, keep figuring that out, what may be stopping you. And these are stories. And the beauty is you can change your story. And one of the most effective ways of changing the story is what I call devil's advocate, which is from the cousin I learned that I mentioned about earlier. A global managing director, very highly successful, and he shared this with me that every time you are thinking something, also advocate for the opposite point of view. Okay, so like just taking Sindhuja's example that I have this work which is not quantifiable, but what if the other way to look at it, if a devil is advocating for you, then, or the devil is not necessarily devil, but a counter view of that. That what if not measurable, can still people be successful? Or what are the ways? I am thinking this is not measurable, but actually are there ways? And you may find something. So have a balanced view and then take a call on whether you want to go this way or that way, but you have done that analysis and you have come up with what you want. So what is the story you're telling yourself for not having the result that you want, for the gap that you have? Identify that story and also look for reasons why you can. Okay, because somebody like you at your age, in your gender, in your city would have cracked this challenge. So that is what modeling is about. That is what being a devil's advocate is about. So start reframing your story. What, if the decision makers are in a different country, how do other people manage? There are so many MNCs operating in India. Is there a way I can find out for managing that? So so then the creative part starts happening. Then you start making this work for you. The first part is identifying what is holding us back, and then the next part is making it work for you. Having a strategy, like Anjana said, it's not just about thinking, but having an action plan. So I'll pause here, and then we have three more to go, which is embrace discomfort and developing a growth mindset and being execution. I don't think we will be able to take that today. So I'd like you to take 3 minutes to reflect on what we have discussed for you, and then we will do a recap and then close the session. So just go through, reflect on your notes, reflect on your discussion, on the discussion we have had. What came up for you? What are your takeaways? We've discussed the psychology of success, why our mindset is responsible for 80% of our success. We get too tied to thinking that it is the knowledge or the skills that are responsible, but it is the mindset that is responsible. What is our state of being in which we are operating? Talked about the Dr. David Hawkins energy scale, with calibrated energy levels. And we saw what are the low energy emotions and what are the high energy emotions. And courage is the breakthrough point, which is what happened to me when I started on this journey. Being aware of the state of mind that I was operating in, state of being. being grateful for what I have, mindfulness. And then we talked about modeling, identifying the people who are successful and what do they do. We talked about identifying the gap, taking accountability for our results. And that accountability involves deciding whether I am going to be accountable for being present in the session myself, or do I need an invitation and reminder from Vaishnavi to be present? Who's accountable for your success, Vaishnavi or you? Taking 100% accountability would mean that you present yourself for the session at the agreed time. There is no change. 8:45 a.m. is 8:45 a.m. every Sunday, unless we have declared in advance. So why would you need a reminder as a leader? One of my bosses used to say, leaders don't need reminders. They take charge. They take charge of themselves, of everybody else around them. All right. So on that note, I will invite you to raise your hand and let me know who is the first one who would like to go with sharing their takeaways and recapping the session today. And Anjana, once you finish, please nominate somebody else.
Sure. I think my biggest takeaway from today's session is the devil's advocate.
Okay.
It's very important to understand the other side of, you could say, the story of what you think you don't want to spend time on, because it's as important for you to understand why you don't want to go there. And that may just be a myth for you.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Uh,
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Dhruva, I nominate Dhruva.
Thanks, Anjana. Two key things is identify the person whom I think is successful, and what aspect of his should I emulate. I may not know all aspects of it, but at least some aspects which I may know. I should emulate it to allow me to start that journey in that direction. Second aspect is within the devil's advocate, the key point is why I should tell a story why I can do it. Because all we can come out with stories of why we can't, but coming out of a story of why we can do it or achieve that success is important. So those are the two key things. So,
Okay. Thank you, Dhruv. And whom would you like to nominate next?
Sindhuja.
Hi. So I think for me, like, we think of what is the story? Are we blaming somebody? Are we rationalizing it? That bit was like, very because what happens is when something is not working out, okay, you go and kind of, tell five people who that ऐसा हो रहा है, but the macroeconomics is like this. इसमें ना ये problem होती है, इसमें वो problem होती है. Everybody agrees.
Just 1 minute. Are you able to hear her clearly?
Oh, am I audible?
Yeah, better now. Better now, Sindhuja.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
correcting.
Yeah.
So for me, that particular slide on like, are we like, creating excuses, blaming somebody or rationalizing? These three and differentiating between three was like, a very takeaway. Because when something something does not work out, you kind of tell people, four, five people here, that this is not working out, and these are the problems, and they all agree, yeah, that's true, that's true, that's true. So what happens is you tend to kind of mentally reaffirm the rationalization that you have or the blame that you have. Like within the organization, you will be like, "Arey yaar, bahut politics hai. Ye like these people know each other, so they can know each other since their previous organization. They have this like amazing rapport, and yeah, that is what always happens to this department." And you kind of have that as a belief there, the, that is there, and and that is what I think leads to where like all your actions are uh, from the lower side of that funnel that you showed. It's either like fear, or it is fear, or it is that that particular thought ki karke bhi koi fayda nahi. Like when you start out with something and you are like, okay, I'm taking this initiative, but ये तो सिर्फ initiative है, कुछ पता नहीं होगा कि नहीं होगा. Where uh, if you start out with that thought does not work, and that courage and that positive vibration is like the key to kind of move on to the next thing, because what is not in your realm of control will never be in your realm of control. So I think that is like and whatever you're saying yourself, either it is blaming or rationalizing or whatever, uh, there is no point like sharing that with people and getting reaffirmation on that, because I share that with people, I get reaffirmation on that, and I believe, yes, everybody is saying that. Yes, so I think that is like key uh, takeaway for and the differentiating between blaming and whether I have created that within my mindset is something that I just kind of go back to on a lot of my thought back.
So what I hear you say, Sandhya, is that the three traps and the Dr. David Hawkins energy scale were two main takeaways for you, right?
Correct, because the three traps kind of keep me, I think, at the lower end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
and that is also slippery slope in the, or a lower spiral, like once you are there in that aspect of fear, then it kind of there is more shame and there is guilt because आपने कोई action नहीं लिया, courage ही नहीं था, action ही नहीं लिया, तो like guilt, shame और fear तो होगा ही होगा.
Yeah. All right.
So like I think that was like a very interesting aspect that many people don't tell it like outright. Hey, this is your thing.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for sharing, Sandhya. And whom would you like to call on for next? Going next?
I would call on Hardeep.
Who?
Hardeep.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
So, my biggest takeaway for today is the traps. So, I got little aware today that I most of the time complain. So, rather than blaming, it's for me, it's rationalization sometimes and complaining. I'm gonna work on it. Yeah, that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Manohar. Manohar is opted out, so that leaves us with Rosina.
Yeah, one thing, it's like this one breakthrough that came up for me is this the David Hawkins conscious scale, the state of being, which you said like below 200 is like you are in the vicious loop. So and while we are doing while we did mindfulness, I was just reflecting on this part, and I realized that it's below 200 is nothing but those the feelings which were shown on that. I had read somewhere that these are the ego self feelings, and and you want to go to the soul self that is about 200. But what I have seen that this why you are going It's like the breakthrough. You want that breakthrough, but somewhere you are stuck in the story of the blame game, rationalization, and complaint. But I saw that it is like the blame is like I am not blaming anybody because whatever the choices I've made, I have taken 100% responsibility of that.
Mhm.
So I'm not into that blame game, but yes, I'm 100% into rationalization and complaints.
Thank you.
That's what is like the whole vicious loop which I have identified for myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosina. And thank you, everybody, for being with us on this beautiful journey. Take accountability of your own self. Take accountability of your accountability partner. Connect with them every Wednesday or Thursday, 8 p.m. Share the actions you're going to take, success that you have had, challenges that you're facing, and update your takeaways. In the group, even from the session today, not only from the in our SLP group, your 3 takeaways from today. This will reinforce your learning, and also share in the mindful living groups that you may be part of, that you started on the psychology of success program. This is what your takeaway is, because it helps everybody and it helps reinforce your own learning. And please don't have the accountability of your joining the session with Vaishnavi. You, along with your accountability partner, please log in by 8:45 a.m. Leaders don't need reminders. Take leadership, take charge of your own life. All right. On that happy note, have a happy weekend. Just one last thing. Today we have a session at 4:50 p.m. on the strengths-based, Gallups has done a lot of work on strengths, and each one of you will benefit from that session. We are having a Kanika Kohli, who is a PCC level coach and certified Gallup strength coach. So please come. Please share that invite with your friends and colleagues. It will be a very interesting session on how we can focus on our strengths and multiply and grow in our lives. So please sign up for that session, share with your network, and attend and benefit from it. Have a wonderful weekend and have a great week ahead. Thank you. Bye.
Just double checking.
Sorry, Manoj, you're saying something?
Just checking whether I'm connected or not. I didn't share my takeaways.
Okay. Oh, you didn't? We missed asking you.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
No problem. It's okay.
We're happy to hear from you, of course.
Yeah. So for me, the main was about strategy, executing, and psychology mastering. So obviously, 80% depends upon our psychological attitude, which yields the result. That was the main one, and obviously the power versus force, the ultimate consciousness was a good takeaway for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Sorry for missing you out, and have a wonderful weekend. Please connect for the strength session. Join the strength session today. It will be an interesting one. All right. Okay.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.